Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, artists, collectors, and even the curious are all encouraged to come together, to collaborate, to learn, inspire each other, and to ultimately get better tattoos. This is one of the many live streams that we send out each week. This is the Reinventing Drawing Group, 9 o'clock Monday morning Eastern, even earlier for Jake and way early for the West Coast, and everyone, easy for Europe. But everyone gets together and does often they're doing their tattoo homework or just drawing. Sometimes there's exercises for the Reinventing group, but often it's tattoo designs and whatnot. It's fun to see everyone collaborate and whatnot. So if you are interested in joining, then download the Reinventing the Tattoo app. Pick your app store poison, either the Apple Store or the Google Android store. And if you do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo, download the app, you will have the event schedule, a library that has the replays of all of the different shows. And there is also a Zoom link there. So if you go to the event and you click on the Zoom link, then you can join the art group. We can't post it out on the YouTube channels or Facebook or wherever you might be watching, because then the spammers get a hold of it. Speaking of, we have no idea where you're watching from, but let us know where you're beaming in from in whatever medium you're watching this. And just know that, the App Store, or if you go straight to community.reinventingthetattoo.com, then you could sign up and get the latest and greatest. Also, the brand new channels. It's amazing. Reinventing the Tattoo is like 2 decades plus old and has always had a really strong internet multimedia component. But we just recently launched our Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel, and you could also find it, you should be able to find it, I clicked the button this morning, Reinventing the Tattoo podcast in the Apple and Spotify and all that. And if it's not there, then we'll just click refresh for a day or two. It'll show up pretty soon, so that you can throw all of these awesome shows on in the background. And a lot of people are finding great success with that. There are people digging it at in the waiting rooms and while they're getting tattooed and whatnot. Okay, let's see. This is upcoming events that we want to talk about. March 30th, we're going to be talking with John Swerk of the Swerf group. Excuse me, my pronunciation's horrible. He is studying inks. He's a chemist in Birmingham University, and so we will be having an in-depth conversation about what's in the inks, what's going on with the ink bands, and again, it's really awesome to start getting more academics inside of these interviews. We had an archaeologist on last week, and talking about mummies with tattoos, and the oldest tattoos that we know about, some like 5,000 years old. It's pretty crazy. So go to the any of the places, the podcast or YouTube channels, or ultimately the app has a library with all of the replays. Let's see. Other real-world events that are starting to happen as vaccinations are happening. There's some plans that are in the works. October 5th to the 8th is an informal event at Jiminy Peak, the home of the Paradise Show. And it's slated as a BYOB, bring your own brains, bring your own brushes, bud, beer, berries if you're a vegan. I don't know, bring your own body, but don't bring too many. Like, again, we have no idea what we can really do. There's, I think, only 100 people per room, so it's going to be a really chill event. But on the other hand, if you're watching this, it's probably going to be right up your alley. We'll do a lot of webcasting, though, so no need to show up in person if you don't want to. Also, in Brussels, from November 12th to the 14th is the Brussels Tattoo Convention, and I believe 2 days before that will be like a trade show kind of a thing. So we will be heading over there and doing, paint draws, art jams. We have seminars. Nick Baxter and Ivana are coming over to do seminars. And it's going to be a pretty awesome event. We'll have subscriber only meetups and just regular general meetups for everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's in Brussels. Again, vaccines and quarantines and plain pending. We want to make sure that we give shout outs to our sponsors who help make this free, and to our affiliates who are help spreading the word. We have inkjetstencils.com. You could also check out their folder in the community, because they have a method where you edit your tattoo reference right there on your iPad or your computer, and then you print it out to an Epson printer that's got an eco-friendly tank and a continuous ink tank. And then, you could be printing out your stencils, saving your hands, saves money. And if you have big big things, you could print them out really big. I know Andre did a video where he was printing out back pieces. He's got an interview with Jake on the Fireside Tattoo Network too, where I believe they go in depth about it. And you could. So that's Andre Malcolm. InkjetStencils.com. Check it out. We have LooseScrewTattoo.com. Is an amazing tattoo shop in Richmond, Virginia. It's got a great crew, so it's a perfect opportunity for you to learn and up your game. It's a busy shop. You got to be good at both black and gray and color tattoos. When they come through the door, you got to kill it. Jesse Smith is inspiring. He's the ringleader there. He's an excellent entrepreneur. You can also check out his interviews at the Fireside Tattoo Network. He's got a great one where he talks about how his shop, and actually recently we did one on the Reinventing the Tattoo channel also. It was last week. So yeah, Jesse Smith. Check it out, loosescrewtattoo.com. There's a join our team link. Just let them know that you heard about us or heard about them on Reinventing, and you'll get I don't know, maybe a little extra checkbox or something. Who knows? Okay, and then we've got Raw Pigments Ink Company in California. They're tapping right into the source of the pigments. It's acrylic free, I believe, vegan. You could definitely check out more of what they have going on. Rawpigments.co. And we actually have samples from the Raw Pigments and actually Cheyenne tattoo equipment. If you're interested in reinventing the tattoo goodie bag and you're a tattooer, then you just have two things to do. If you see this craziness going on in the background, we have the Equinox Party replay is where you will find the form to fill out to get the Reinventing goodie bag. So reinventingthetatattoo.com/Equinox. And then you'll sign up there to watch the replay of the show. You'll get emailed the link to watch, and then right there on that watch page, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the form. We've got the hour-and-a-half replay of Android Jones doing visuals and Aja doing amazing live soundtracks. And that watch page actually has an extended version where we have a full-on art jam where people talk about psychedelic art. And I know that there was some awesome, amazing people in there, including David Heskin, who did a art thing yesterday. There's so much to talk about, but this is just the intro. And I know that Jake's got a boogie a little bit early. So affiliates, we want to make sure that, I keep talking about it, so I'll just plug it right now. The Fireside Tattoo Network on the podcast and on the YouTube store. We have another new affiliate, The Apprentice Diaries. Amy Nichols has been doing a great podcast designed specifically around apprenticeships, starting with the tattoo apprenticeships, but she's interviewing people that are doing all sorts of different crafts that require apprenticeships. So The Apprenticeship Diaries, you can find that in the podcast store and on the YouTube. I think I talked around LinkedIn sometimes. Anyways, those are affiliates. I am now going to hop into the background. And if you have any topics that you would like us to talk about or inspirations that you want us to fire up on the browsers or whatever, then I can do that. And please let us know in the chat room so that we have record that all of this is actually working. Okay, I'm going to gallery mode. Jason and Kirsten, you can throw on your cameras and your mics if you want to. And I'm going to hand it off to Jake here. Thank you very much, Jake, for doing this so bright and early every Monday. It's
yeah, man.
It actually is a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. That's all. Man, there's always so much going on. It's crazy. What's up, everybody? Good to see you guys. It's been.
What's going on, Jake?
How are you? It's been a couple of weeks, and I've got to cut out a little early today. I have to leave at 8:30 my time. I get my first round of vaccine this morning. I've got a 8:45 appointment.
Awesome.
Congrats. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So are you old enough, or just in a state
Tennessee opened it up to everyone last week.
Ah, nice. I got April 1st and May 1st. I have my appointments now because I work in Connecticut 1 day a week. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, cannabis job.
Right.
But I'm pretty psyched. That means by like mid-May, June-ish. And you taking the 1 shot or 2 shot?
A 2, yeah. They went ahead and did both appointments. My next one, I think, is in 2 or 3 weeks. I forget.
Sweet.
But yeah, pretty cool.
Okay.
So I've got, it's funny, I've got like conventions that I committed to and that actually are already paid for. Someone like injured in the background? What was that?
Yeah, that was my daughter. Sorry, I'm muting.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I had conventions that I was already paid for from last year, and I haven't recommitted just because of that. And I may have to go back and look now. I know Tattoo Lulu is waiting on my updated license stuff for the health department, and I've been hesitant to do it. But with this, it looks like I'll have both rounds by that point. So maybe I will, except for I don't have anyone to podcast with or any anyone to tattoo.
That might be a little too soon for me, but come June-ish, I'd be down. Maybe I'd be way more down with taking a road trip to do like a small event with a couple people at a cool shop, rather than just hitting up a convention. But on the other hand, yeah, let's get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you guys? What's everybody? What kind of projects does everyone have this week? Working on anything fun? I'll start at the top of my list and go down so we're not all good. What's up, Morak? How are you? What are you working on today?
All right, yeah. I'm just working on a tattoo design that includes a bat. Just bat flower, nothing particularly interesting, but you know.
Yeah.
Has to be done. Work.
Yeah. I had one of those last week, and it turned out to be really cool. I mainly work just on I work on day rates, so it's all big pieces. But I had an old client that wanted to get tattooed, and he got on the waiting list. He waited for like 6 months, and I was like, I'll do it. He just wanted a sparrow on his chest. And then he was like, hey, this isn't going to take all day. Will you tattoo my wife as well? And I was like, yeah, what does she want? And she wanted some script, like coming out of a seed and then morphing into floral stuff. And I was like, I haven't done anything like either of these in so long. So I went all in on the drawing. Like I did the most badass sparrow that I could possibly put together. It was kind of cool. It's like half skeletal sparrow, kind of like coming back to life. So it's like from death comes life kind of idea. And I did them both like simple, clean, black and gray. I had both tattoos done in like 3.5 hours. I felt so accomplished that day. They both looked good, you know. I was like, man, this is a lot of fun.
It's quite fun doing, if you're used to doing bigger pieces like me, and I suppose you as well, just to do something that you can finish in one session. It's strangely satisfying.
Right, it makes you feel so accomplished. You're just like, look at that, and it looks good. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll leave every day I finish, and I'm like, well, I didn't get quite as far on this as I wanted to, or I don't like the way that part's working, or there's always something that I'm. But with those, it's like they have to be done. So you get them to the. Get them to the spot.
And then everybody's happy. You're not making excuses for some bit that's unfinished, and you're not going, oh, these lines will be, stronger, and this color will be more saturated. Just,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Believe in me.
Yeah. What about you, Jason? What are you working on?
So a couple of weeks ago, I had a good friend of mine named Sydney. She's a tattooer out in New Jersey. She hit me up kind of out of the blue and said, hey, I want to commission you for a painting. And I said, okay, give me some specifics. Like how big are you trying to go? Is there a medium you want? What are you looking for? That way I could even see if it was up my alley. And she's like, I want it big, like really big. And I said, well, what's really big to you? Because really big to me is very different than really big to a lot of people.
Yeah.
When she says really big, I'm thinking like 5 foot by 9 foot, like side of a building, that's big to me. Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, not that big. More like, 3 foot by 5 foot, 3 foot by 6 foot. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, manageable. Something that's not going to take me 3 years to do.
Yeah.
I'm flashing out ideas and figured out I'm going to go with 3 foot by 6 foot. So I'm just kind of getting some ideas together. I had this great idea last night as I was falling asleep of doing this kind of like Art Nouveau framework around it. Mm-hmm. But she's not intending on getting it framed, and she wants it done on canvas. So I'm going to do a free floating canvas, full gallery wrap. So all the sides are going to be painted and everything. But now it's just trying to flesh out the subject matter and how do I want to present it? How, if I do kind of like an Art Nouveau framework to frame off the subject matter, how would that translate to the sides?
Yeah.
So just working out the details.
So you're just rolling out on it today. Nothing. This is how far you've gotten is just kind of laying out the frame.
Well, I've started tossing around other ideas, and once again, I don't know how well anyone can see any of this.
Yeah.
I started laying out the idea of like a moving snake. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, well, if I do that, I could very easily throw like, a little peony in the corner, because I tattooed a peony flower on her hip at Baltimore a few years ago. We were working next to each other. We were both busy all weekend. We were working it with my friend Karen, who's That's how I got to know Sydney. And Karen and I ended up doing this, collaborative peony that pretty decent size on her hip. It's the biggest single tattoo she has. Everything else is pretty small, very black and gray, very, very fine line. And then you have this bold 11 round liner peony on her hip. Right?
Yeah.
Stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But it was a great time, great experience. Tattoo turned out awesome. So, I haven't talked to her in a bit. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe if I throw a peony flower in there, that could help maybe tie some things together. And then I was thinking, well, if I do that, that's going to take up a third of the canvas, right? So that's going to be a 2 foot tall peony flower. Do I really want to go that big with it?
Yeah. Well, maybe. And you always have the option too of, it gives you the possibility of rendering the peony further, maybe even laying in some pattern stuff or stuff inside the, in the petals of the peony in different areas to, so that it's like shapes within shapes. I don't know. I think it would, just the basic layout that you have right there, I think is a good starting point. It's good to me. Yeah.
It's just, I always second guess myself and struggle with composition and layout. And does this flow right? Does this look right? Is this element too big? Is it too small? Where am I going to put my focus? Is it going to be too big of a shape on that canvas? Because I like working with large, broad areas and then tons and tons of negative space as well. So am I going to fill that up? Am I going to do background texture? There's all types of questions that bounce around in my head for stuff.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being able to draw digitally and thumbnail it out before you commit to a 6 foot canvas.
Precisely.
Yeah. Well, cool. Kirsten, have we met? I don't know. Without seeing your face, I can't even remember the names.
Yeah, we've met a couple of times.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Hi, good.
What are you working on?
I'm doing the Monday night class that's due today.
Okay.
Been working on this like religiously, so hopefully we'll get it finished today. But I just realized sitting here that she only has 4 fingers, and now we're nervous.
Well, luckily it's
one.
Yeah, luckily it falls off in like an atmospheric way, so you probably wouldn't notice. You could definitely have a pinky that's falling back, kind of into the.
Yeah, I was thinking of having like an indent of something, like it's bent or something like that, just so it doesn't seriously look like she only has 4 fingers.
Right.
But
so
today we're. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, what is the assignment for this week? What's the criteria?
It was complementary colors we were supposed to be working on, and the reference picture was a female holding it, and she was supposed to be holding a turtle. So I have her kissing a turtle. That was my idea. So I've been working on this. I'm trying to just focus on contrast, because to me everything's too like spaced from each other. Like I'm trying to like get all the layers sitting on top of each other real nicely instead of very separated. So that way it'll, I don't know, contrast, right?
Yeah. Sometimes when I find stuff's getting too like bitsy on me and coming apart, I'll drop a color layer in like a blend mode, just so that everything is lit the same way and has some of the same color, and then come back and start erasing areas out to kind of establish, for example, if it was like you've got a lot of there's a lot of different color in there, but let's say we just grabbed a magenta layer and dropped it over and then dropped it to like 15% opacity or something, so it just kind of bathed the entire thing, and then take my eraser and I'll come back and I'll start carving out the highlights. And then you'll find like some of that stuff, just kind of like, because you laid one, it's kind of like doing a glaze whenever you're coming back into an oil painting, whenever you let it dry and you come back with like liquid and a little bit of color and you just scrub it over the whole thing and then come back and start, painting over it. It just kind of like lets everything go, kind of lets everything blend together a little bit. And then you can start to see what you want to, what's the most important thing to pull forward. And you can start erasing stuff back out, like erasing that blend layer. What do you call that kind of layer? Like a color, like an adjustment layer, I guess. Like
I know what you mean. Yeah. And I think the only other, like, I wouldn't say problem, but like just thing that my eye is looking at is like this section here. So I don't know what to do with that area. So I'm just like covering it with hair, but I don't want to take like the lazy route of covering it with hair. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do with that section to bring the hand element and her together. So that'll be something I'll have to figure out today too.
You got, you probably don't need more, another element. You have a lot of, you could always, maybe you could finish out some of that ornamental kind of vine stuff. Let one sweep over, like from the blue flower back to the pink one, that kind of cuts over here that fills that space a little bit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like right through there. Yeah, like you've already got one that looks like it's kind of lends itself to sweeping back that way. You could always play with something like that. Again, the beauty of drawing digitally, just start a new layer and grab one of those colors and start drawing right over the top of it and see what works. It's so easy to throw away.
Yeah, that's why I love Procreate so much, because it's like, man, I just want to experiment with this. I don't want to like actually apply it. So let me just make a new layer, see if it works, and then I can just merge it down if it actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, cool. That's looking great. I'll have to jump on and see what everyone else did with this. That's an interesting subject matter to choose. And Gabe, I know you've told me this before, but Guy is just coming up with these things. Does he have like a jar with words on it that he's just like grabbing things?
No. He's well, I imagine that it probably depends on when and how. Sometimes he probably is like, oh shit, I got to figure it out for tomorrow. But for the last 6 months, he's been pulling like sets of exercises from the canon. So either places where there's strengths or maybe places where he wants to add on to. And so he did like a series of elements. So everyone was working on all the different elements and then brought them together. He was doing sets of, I don't know, like sets of contrast. I mean, and I suppose actually, Ricardo or Jason or Kirsten could probably speak to the actual program of that a little bit more. Often by Monday nights, I admit, like, it's 50-50. I'll test to make sure that it's going live. But I'm waking up at 4 a.m. So by like 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, it's working. They've got it without me. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, I'll let's see. I only have about 5 minutes left. Let me jump on to show you what I'm working on today I'm working on it today, but I'm starting it Wednesday. I think it's kind of crazy. Let me pull up my OBS here and see if I can share the screen. So this dude, let's see. Here we go. So this dude wanted, let's see here. Let me come back to Zoom and change my camera. No, I'm on it. Okay. So this dude wanted like something. Oh, you can only halfway see it. Wanted something like crazy evil. I've done a half sleeve on him already, and this is the bottom half of his half sleeve. So let me move it over a little bit so you can actually see. This is the bottom half of his half sleeve. See if I can get my screen a little smaller here.
Hey, while you're doing that, we do have someone from Colombia. Juan's asking, greetings from Colombia. May I know what you are using to draw on?
I'm drawing right now on the Cintiq, 27-inch Cintiq. I laid most of this out on the iPad. I just pulled it over to the Cintiq this morning so I could draw on it and share it. I'm a huge college basketball fan, so I had to be in front of the TV this whole last week to watch March Madness. So I had to draw everything on the iPad this week, but because my Cintiq is too big to drag into the living room.
Isn't it too cold for outdoor sports?
No. Sorry. What are you talking about? It's not even an outdoor sport. Man, come on now. I'm drawing on the Cintiq. Everyone else is drawing on iPads. But this is, this thing is kind of crazy. So he had this like existing angel. I don't have the existing piece, unfortunately, but he had this existing like angel and demon, like angel holding a demon maybe, or I forget what it was. And I kind of did a bunch of filler around it and turned it into a half sleeve. And now he wants to go demonic on the underside. So I started kind of playing with that. And I started drawing without any reference. He wanted to go like, all the reference he sent me was like 90s demon looking stuff where one thing morphs into another thing. And then like all the skulls have fangs and horns. And I was like, man, yeah, dude, I can absolutely come up with something like that. So this is how far I've gotten on it, just kind of stretching it out here. Can everybody see that as I move it around?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I should be able to like reduce the size of it, I thought, but yeah.
So dig your hands.
What's
awesome
that?
looking. I really dig the way the hands look. They're really dynamic.
Thanks. Yeah, I just started like drawing circles. I've been trying to play with just drawing crazy shapes and turning them into something. So really, none of this stuff started as as anything, and it still hasn't gotten that far. I've been through 2 or 3 versions of it. I want it to be as like I want to draw. I want to pull back to some '90s tattooing in it for sure. But I want to do it like painterly and soft, all dark foreground, and then like light, bright reds and oranges in the background is my goal, I think. But so I like to keep. Stylistically, I like it to look like it's from the '90s, but I want to tattoo it in a way where it looks like it was done, today. But yeah, so I'm excited. That's what I'm working on a little today. Like I said, I have until Wednesday on this one. It's the only new project that I have this week. Everything else is existing. I'm working on all super cool stuff this week, luckily. But this is the only one that's new. And then next week I have, hopefully I'll be drawing on it for next week's show. But next week I have a really cool warrior in the forest kind of thing. And I've been talking a lot about trying to create stories and do more storytelling in tattoos. So I'm looking forward to being able to do a really cool kind of illustrative story tattoo next week. So hopefully I've got it far enough to share it.
Awesome. So I didn't mean to knock you off topic before, but let's to the last minute that you have. Do you want to let us know what you have coming up on the Fireside Tattoo channel?
Yeah, what do we have? We're still rolling with this series. If you guys haven't been watching it, I've really enjoyed it. This series with Carson Hill from Numa. I have way more content than I think I can actually put out, unfortunately. What I may do is just like I've been trying to clip out some of the meaty parts of it, but as I go through, I'm like, I don't want to leave that out. And I've got like maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of interviews with him, and we've only put out maybe 40 minutes so far. So I've got that series still going. I'm actually going to what was her name that's doing the apprenticeship diaries that you were talking about? Amy. Yeah. We did just on this a couple of weeks ago on the morning drawing group. We just sat and talked. We didn't talk about drawing at all. We talked about apprenticeships and all that kind of stuff. So I had pulled that episode back down, and I wanted to like clip it down and release it as an actual podcast because I don't think that many people saw it. On the morning drawing. So I may put that out as an episode. And then I had one other really interesting guy reach out to me, and he just reached out through some social media and said that that there was I forget how he worded it, but basically there was an avenue of apprenticeship that I had never addressed on the show, and he wanted to talk about it. And it turns out this dude learned to tattoo in like 1988, 89, 90 in prison, and then worked, raised family and stuff, and then now is in tattoo school in Oregon. So what a crazy kind of episode that was. Wow. To like, so that one's going to be, yeah. He's a prison tattooer that's going through tattoo school. So I was like, oh man, I have to have that conversation. What in the world? What direction could that go? So we just did that interview, and those two were coming out. I may end up breaking up some of the Carson Hill stuff with those other interviews. Are any of you guys, I do need to run, are any of you guys watching that Carson Hill stuff, and do you have any feedback? Is it good doing them like in 15-minute chunks, or should I just like put out an hour-long episode of that stuff?
Me personally, I always like the longer ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listen to those in the car whenever I'm driving. I listen to them while I'm folding laundry. The content's been incredible. Yeah, and I've been like patiently waiting for this coming weeks to drop, after last week's. I'm like, come on. There's so much more to discuss here.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I've always had that curiosity though about, okay, well, what about machines? Like what do you really want to look for? Maybe what's the difference between them all, right? Because there's so many different types and varieties out there now. Mm-hmm. How do they really differ from each other? And this is really going in depth with that. And that's something that satisfies that curiosity in me.
For me too, man. For me too. Go
so some of the feedback about this from the chat room. Ryan says, look at Joe Rogan though. Podcast average is 2 hours straight. Alex Sesh says, greetings from Syria. I was thinking in myself, like, me or us, we'll put out a 4-hour episode on reinventing without even thinking about it. If you're, if that's not appropriate for your channel, then, we'd be happy to help. But I would just put out the whole damn thing. I do like the anticipation. So like for keeping people on the hook and coming back, obviously the 20 minutes is going to do it more so than the hour long, which is going to do it more so than if everybody could just get all 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like, ultimately for digesting content, some people like the clips, some people like long form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I should do a little bit of both. I talked about that with Carson, maybe do a long form and then clip that out as little, almost like not teaser clips, but say, hey, if you want to watch the rest of this interview, here's the link or whatever. And that way people can have the little nuggets if they want it, or the full thing. All right, I gotta go. I got 10 minutes to get to the vaccination place. But thanks for the feedback, everybody. Next week, I promise I'll be, I'm good for the whole hour. This is just, I didn't have a choice in this vaccine. So
cheers, have fun.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And Caroline's joined us, I think, since we've done introductions. How goes it?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
It's been busy at the shop. Like I haven't been able to like tune in at all. So then I saw my notification come up. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yay.
Awesome, it works.
Yeah, it does.
What you working on?
I'm working on my client for Saturday sent me this image. Let's see if I can zoom into it. It's already, a picture of a tattoo. And I was like, they got that from somewhere. It's some musician's hands. So I went on the internet and I found the original source. So basically, because then it's all like, realistic. So I'm just going to be.
Where's it going?
It's going on the inside of her arm.
Oh.
So it's not going to be super huge. So, but I'm going to try and make it as big as I possibly can. So, she's a tiny girl. So.
See, I always worry about doing stuff, that kind of detailed at that size.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, me. But then again, I also don't really do a whole lot of realism stuff. I always like to stylize it a lot more. A lot of varied line weights, a lot of, smoother black and gray areas. I'll obscure a whole bunch of detail, and kind of simplify it down. But that's just kind of the way that I do things.
Yeah, some of it will get simplified, like as long as you're just getting the idea of like what's going on and not like lose the right detail.
Right.
Yeah. How are you going about stenciling that? Are you basically outlining every single thing you see, or are you paraphrasing? How are you going about that?
Depends upon like whatever's black, it's going to be black. Then there's some white lines in here, so I'm just going to go in and just line them as white. And then and then other stuff like it's got like dark gray lines and stuff like that. So then it's just basically just sort of going in and just what needs to be a hard line will be a hard line, and then whatever needs to be suggested is just going to be sort of suggested, like either running like the side of the mag in it or something. Yeah.
And then when you're stenciling that, do you separate that via like dotted lines and straight lines so you can tell yourself what's going on?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on the element that is being outlined. Like obviously like the keys and stuff like that, I can hardline those, and I know that when I'm doing the white keys that I'm not making a hard black line on those. And then like the little lettering that's on the keyboard, that's white against the gray, I'm just going to make squiggles because like they're going to be too small. So yeah, so it's just going to go in there so that that there's something there. Yeah, I have a tendency sometimes to put as little information as I need there, like as little, so that I don't make a cluttered stencil and then make it all just purple and have no idea, and it just turns it into a mess. So I just try to put as little of the roadmap down there, putting out all my little breadcrumbs, and then just going from there. Like the pants, like that you see, like they just have some folds. Like I'm gonna maybe put half of them in there, so that I know, like, when I'm actually doing the tattoo, like I know which ones I'll have lined out, because I'll be looking at my reference where I have my outline layer on top, where the opacity down, so then I can tell which ones I put in there and which ones I didn't. So, and then I just know that, okay, so then I need to put the wrinkle in the fabric that I didn't stencil, like in here, like it's just using your landmarks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome.
So
when is the appointment coming in?
Saturday. So I'm like, I reverse engineer my week. So I'm going to my Saturday first, and then like moving myself up to the front of my week to Tuesday. So I try to do that every week, and just so that I don't get backlogged and try to catch up. But you always end up staying at the shop longer than you thought you were going to. So, and then I always find myself on Sunday and Monday, be like, and try to like catch up again. So
I was going to say, isn't that like a requirement, is that you always end up being at the shop longer than you ever expected to be?
I think so.
Cardo's
I know
got
I
a
do.
cot at his, so.
Yeah, man.
Ricardo pretty much lives at his studio.
Pretty much. I was gonna say, what's this late thing all about? You know what I mean? Like staying late.
You just never leave.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's like, you actually left? Oh my God.
Exactly. Like, why did I leave? Oh, because I need to eat. That's about it.
So what does that mean? Going down to the gas station at the corner to get more snacks?
Well, fortunately, I have Jimmy John's next to me. I got this killer Szechuan place start down the street, man. So yeah, it's like, and then my landlord right below me owns like a Euro place, so it's Mediterranean food, man. It's awesome. I love it. So yeah.
By the way, good morning, Ricardo.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing all right.
Hello, Caroline. I'm Ricardo. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Where are you coming from?
I'm in New Jersey. Where are you at?
Illinois, in a town called Normal, Illinois.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty normal.
No, everything is pretty normal here, yeah. Oh man, that's killer.
What are you working on today, Ricardo?
I'm getting set up for a clipper ship today.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna use this guy as the reference.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, buddy.
Wow.
It's gonna be all... I know, right?
Now I expect to see all of the little rigging in that every time
yes.
rope and every thread on that rope.
With
right
a single needle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will call you guys next week when I finish the outline.
Yeah, right.
Where's the going?
It's gonna go on the outside of his arm.
Okay.
So we're going from like elbow all the way up to the shoulder. We're gonna do like a big stormy night kind of thing.
Nice.
And we're gonna implement the elements of like a traditional Americana tattoo, but I'm just gonna kind of, make it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more realistic, so to speak.
Nice.
But I will include the outlines though. So
I'm going to ask you the same question. How are you simplifying this tattoo when you're making the stencil?
I heard Caroline talking about it, and I feel like we're kind of on the same page with that. I try to go in and make it as simple as possible. I try to get all of the information that I need, like as far as just the basic shapes in there. I will put a little bit of curvature, like in some of the sails, like a couple little real simple contour lines, you know what I mean? But I don't like to run a stencil through with so much stuff that when you lay it on the skin, it just blurs right out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a big mess then.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, just simplifying it.
See, I kind of like guessing where I'm going to lay an outline. If I can just get a big purple blob on there, right? Literally just smear it all out with like rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer, and then just kind of guess where things go. I find that always makes things interesting.
It makes it interesting for sure. And you're sweating bullets the whole time. Like, oh,
you never really
God.
know how it's going to turn out at the end of the day.
It's kind of a crapshoot, you know?
It really is.
Close your eyes and go for it, man.
Well, yeah, it's like tattooing blindfolded.
Right. Which is awesome. Which is really fun.
It's a lot of fun. You should try it if you haven't.
Well, that's pretty much how I do almost all of them, you know.
Oh, I think we should challenge Andrew Stortz to tattoo blindfolded.
Oh, yes. If that guy can execute a dizzy bat tattoo, I think he can do it blindfolded.
I think we'll find out.
Chrome skulls. So does that answer the question then, Kier? Like,
yes.
Okay,
yes,
cool. Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This guy, you know, you guys were talking about sports a little while ago, and he used to be a pro player. I can't remember which team it was for. I'm not really big into sports, so he kind of told me what team it was, and I was like, yep, okay. But this guy, you know, when you see these dudes on television and they're all standing around each other, they look like pretty normal sized guys. But this guy in person, he's like a giant. It's crazy. He's a big guy. So there's a lot of realty there, you know, to cover. So it's going to take a little while.
So then you can actually get the rigging in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I will be able to put some of the detail in there for sure. But you know, unless it's requested for like this, you know, photorealistic kind of copy it and make it look exactly as is, I really just try to kind of go gestural with it. You know, like kind of take a look at the image and use it as a reference point, and then kind of like tattoo those little elements in there as we kind of go along, so we get a little bit more of a natural feel for it. I think a lot of times people can get caught up in making sure everything is in exactly the right spot. That I think sometimes, unless you're practiced at that, it can kind of come out stiff looking, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I just started reworking a clipper ship on a guy's back last week, and he didn't have a lot of the rigging in it, and obviously on a back you got a lot of room so that you can get it in there. So all I did was, you know, but you don't want to get it all in there because then it looked like a mess. So you know, like I just like zoomed out the image, the reference photo, and was just like whatever ones were the most dominant, like from far away that you could still see, those were the ones that I just added. Because like the person who had started the tattoo, they had passed away, so the guy couldn't get it finished.
Wow.
And yeah, and they like didn't have all of the, for some reason they didn't have all of the rigging in there. And it's like like the ones that are like at the ends of the sails, like at the ends of the whatever those things are called, those seem to be like the most important. It sort of like frames it or something like. And so I ended up, again, like good example of, you know, ending up staying at the shop longer because I didn't realize that I'd be drawing like that many in, even though he sent me a picture of his back prior, because like you know, you just see more in person than you do through a photo.
Oh, absolutely. No matter how high def these things get, there's always like a different quality of the tattoo in person, unless you get like a, you know, a super lighting set or something like that.
Yeah. Computer just do.
Yeah, I agree. I think you know, there was a question proposed about a couple tattoos, like, you know, just looking at some images and you know, wondering about the longevity of like simple line work, really crisp, like little detailed line work in a small space. How long would that last? You know what I mean? But the larger you go, the more detail you are able to get, and it does make for a pretty fun tattoo. It's really involved, and if you have the time and the space for it, and the client is cool with it, then, you know, by all means, go for it. But you definitely want to make sure it's on a big space like that, though, with all that small detail, because there's a whole lot of, like even looking at this image, you know, there's a lot of, you know, the rope ladders everywhere, and the ropes coming across over and over some of the sails and everything like that, that'll just get kind of lost over time, I think, you know. So it's good to put them on the perimeter of the sails, I think, more than it is going directly over them.
Definitely.
Yeah. and I'd buy that for $1.
I'll stick to my standard philosophy. If I can't tattoo it with a 14 round liner and a 45 mag, it's going to be too small.
No, to me, I find that amusing because I learned on type 3s and 7 mags, it's just like, yeah, yeah.
I wasn't even allowed to use anything smaller than a 7 round liner until I was like a solid 2 years in.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, I don't know when the heck, I know I went from 3s to 7 rounds, but you hardly ever use them, I came up like when Cherry Creek was the thing.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
And we had to do it all with the type 3s. And then I would see people come in years later with these big clunky Cherry Creek things. And I'm like, what the hell did they use on that?
Yeah.
Was that a 9 round?
Yeah, it looks like they used a small mag to outline the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we were using 3s and 5 mags, you know what I mean? And my old boss used to use 4 flats too.
Yeah,
wow.
That was incredible. But yeah, no, I remember the pencil grips too. Did you have to use those really thin little stainless steel pencil grips?
No.
They were terrible.
No, yeah, because I was told by all the guys when, because I was working the waiting room first before starting my apprenticeship, but they were all like, you got to get I don't even remember, the 1-inch grips, stainless steel grips or whatever. They were just they were already this is what needs to happen. Don't listen to anything else. You got to do this, and it's got to be diamond tips, and you got to file it back, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so it was, they were very helpful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cherry Creek flash days. I remember that, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, and did you also have the David Bolt butterflies?
David Bolt, yeah.
I thought those came standard every time you opened up a tattoo studio.
Yeah, that they automatically just showed up at your door.
Yeah, they material. Oh, you're a new studio? Here you go. Don't know if you have this set or not, but you have to have these up. It's a requirement right next to your business license.
Yeah.
We also had that Edward Lee stuff too.
I think that was the only time I had a girl cry because of all those color blends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She picked the biggest butterfly for her lower back, and yeah. Oops.
What you gonna do?
All right.
I have a question for everybody.
What's up?
So
the answer is 32.
If you could be your own mentor.
Yeah, we just lost your audio.
Yep. Your audio just cut out.
Can't hear you.
You were saying something.
My internet was doing the same thing yesterday, man. It was crazy.
I thought my phone died because I don't know what my battery life is.
Yeah.
Did I cut out in the middle of my question?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's try this one more time. If you were your own mentor as a little baby tatter tot, what would you say to your young tatter tot self?
Oh man. Who wants to go first?
Don't ever eat Mexican food for breakfast when you know you have a large tattoo coming in.
Or Thai food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's a no-no. Big no-no.
Yeah. God, what else? I don't even know. I think it's been too long ago. I can't remember.
I think one piece of serious advice I would give myself is it's not a race. No matter what anyone tells you about moving faster or get it done, or you've got 8 people waiting for you in the lobby. It doesn't matter. It's not a race.
No, it's definitely not. I usually tell people who are interested in getting involved in tattooing to start a yoga practice before they start their apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's a good point because you're going to be sedentary quite a bit, and you need to keep moving, don't you?
Yeah, and I always the guys always also told me get up every hour, and I didn't, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
hypermobile, so phones move around, and so I wouldn't get up, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm good," you know, I'm 24, I'm fine, and I would wrap my feet around the casters on the chair while I was working, and then when I finally would try to get up, my kneecaps had shifted, so then I couldn't freaking get up. My legs were locked. So so definitely getting up every hour is good. And then I've sat through plenty of seminars that like they do tell you, even if you know, because the diet of a tattoo artist really isn't amazing, and that we are sitting on our butts and stuff like that. Like even like if you're of normal body weight, if you're not getting up and moving, you can give yourself diabetes. So then I'm like, all right. So I get myself up and I get my client up. I'm like, it's time to move around.
You're gonna appreciate
I'll
it.
wholeheartedly agree with getting up and moving every now and then. That's something I try to do. I try to do it like every 2 hours though, as opposed to every hour, just because I find myself getting momentum within a tattoo and then I just don't want to stop doing it. And it's like, all right, well, we'll take a break after this section or this section or this section or this sleeve or whatever. But I find it's really important, not just for like, you know, your joints, but also for body health or for your eye health. Sorry, eye health. Because, you know, my eyes have started to, you know, not necessarily be the best as I've gotten older. And I find that getting up every now and then and just stretching your eyes and focusing on something further out in the distance, as opposed to something that's, you know, a few inches away from your face, can really be helpful in helping to preserve your long range eyesight.
Yes. They also, yeah, they definitely bring that up too. Sort of like refocus and stuff like that, because you're so close. I also had a friend of mine, because I was like 10 years ago or 11 years ago, I was like, yo, my eyes, like, you know, I feel like I need to wear readers on top of my contacts to sit there and now start doing this tiny stuff. And they were like, there's vitamins for that, you know, Ocuvite. And I was like, what? You know, and I was like, all right. So I go check it out. She's like, you should do it. And so I've been taking those vitamins for this whole time and I don't need my readers. So I was like, okay, I think they did something.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think from the apprentice's perspective, they don't understand how much it actually takes a toll on your body until you actually sit down and do a longer than an hour tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, I think everybody. What's that? Oh, she froze again. Parson.
Yeah. We lost her.
Yeah, I think to mirror off of what she just said and to kind of echo it, you're right. I don't think apprentices get that. They don't comprehend it because they're not usually in a position to comprehend it, right?
No.
Right.
They don't have the experience. So
exactly.
Yeah. So they have no idea.
Yeah, their starting point is at 0, so it's like they go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I think people who, you know, try and learn without an apprenticeship to get it harder, because they don't understand all of those like in-person things that you need to experience before even becoming, you know, an actual tattoo artist licensed.
Right. I mean. To answer your question though, Kira, I think those are all really valid points. I think to be like a little bit more sincere about it, I think I would say sit long, talk much, listen more, speak less, and don't fucking party so much.
I thought that was a requirement.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you know, I was always taught that if you can't tattoo when you're completely hungover, then you shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Right. You know, that was like one of those unspoken things, wasn't it? And
I mean,
yeah, you know,
yeah, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I think I would definitely have, you know, slowed down a little bit more, paid a little bit more attention to the actual process itself and being able to define it and explain it a little bit more thoroughly. You know, kind of put your actions into words, so to speak. That way it can be, you know, ingested and deciphered a little bit better, and being able to be the person to be able to teach it at some point in time, not with the intention of teaching it, but at least being able to understand it enough to be able to do so.
Well, and I think ethics also comes into play here too, right? Because like part of going through an apprenticeship is learning the ethical practices of being a tattooer. Right. And, you know, there are certain things that are ethical that, you know, have anyone that's gone through any type of an apprenticeship, no matter how long it's lasted, you know, no matter how good of an apprenticeship it was, there are ethical things that get drilled into your head, you know, just from being there day in and day out, right? Like if you don't feel comfortable doing the tattoo on whoever it is, don't do it.
Right.
No, yeah, don't. Like I had been in our Elizabeth location and it was super slow there. And then in January, which is super slow, I moved up to our Greenbrook location, and this guy comes in and he wants the Virgin of Guadalupe on his sternum, and I'm the only artist that had availability. And I was like, oh, cool, awesome. You know, it's quiet. I just came up here. This will be great, you know, and I just continue talking to the guy about it. And then when he started to tell me that he was actually having conversations with the Virgin himself, then I was like, you know, like red flags, like warning bells. I'm like, you know, I'm going to be having him on the table and my head's going to not be looking at his face. And I'm going to be too close to this dude. And like, is he really sane? You know, like, am I putting myself at risk here? Like, so I became really booked, you know, like, we can't do that for you today, you know, like, because it was just like, I totally, didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel safe doing it because I didn't know if the guy was going to like flip his lid or anything, you know, like, so.
Not only that, you shouldn't be expected to do that either. If you're working in a place where they're telling you to do that and you don't feel comfortable about it, there's a conversation that needs to be had for sure.
Yeah, you know,
if
like,
you don't feel comfortable doing any tattoo or being around any person, go.
Right.
You know, you don't have to be there. There are places out there that you can apprentice where you do not have to feel uncomfortable every single day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, to answer your question even more, Kira, is that like, you have to become adamant. You have to grow a confidence of some sort, but that's not something that's just, I mean, some people have it right away. It might be for the wrong reasons sometimes, but I think the confidence is something that's like, it's nurtured, you know, in the right environment. Somebody gives you that kind of like that boost that you need and talks you through these situations and lets you know how to handle it. And that's where that confidence has grown from, I think.
Yeah, because I would watch my mentor, like if he sat there and somebody came in with an idea that he didn't think was a good idea, the way that he would, you know, either talk to them or stuff like that, then it was like, okay, so that's how you handle that situation.
Right. There's times where you can be super direct, and there's other times where you can kind of, you know, explain back what the person is saying to you, and then maybe kind of start demonstrating some of the issues that might come up. Like as far as, you know, just the idea, the placement, you know, sometimes I've had a lot of kids in the past 6 years or so, I think, start coming in, they're 18 years old. They want this, you know, monster logo on their neck or like, you know, on their hand or something like that. And I'm like, well, what other tattoos do you have? I'm like, none. This would be like my second one. You know, I'm like, no, dude, no. So there's a time where you can just be super direct and you let them know that you don't want to be a part of this gigantic decision in their life, you know?
Yeah, those are the job stoppers. Like we said,
Job stoppers.
job stoppers. Be like, yo, like you don't, you know, like, yeah, tattooing at this point is really, really acceptable and stuff like that. You know, but there's pockets out there of people who have a negative connotation of tattooing, and you don't know if that person eventually is going to be in charge of your paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, and so we definitely, when people are coming in at like 18 and they want the top of their hands, their neck, you know, now they want like, you know, their face. Like, I don't know how many people have been coming in like, oh, I want my face. And it's like, why? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had
Like,
I
listen,
did
I do this for a living. I don't even have my face done.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
You know.
Yeah,
And if I don't have
absolutely.
my face done, why do you want yours done? And I'm
It's-
not
Well,
opposed to it,
I mean,
right? I've
different
done
people
some
want them
face
for different
tattoos.
reasons, right?
Right.
I realized one day I was like, I mean, I get my face tattooed, and but you know, my wife and family, you know, do have input on. Well, my wife definitely has input on my face, I guess. And but then I had a great idea. I was like, I was at dinner. I was like, oh, Kim, if I make $1 million, can I get my face tattooed? Because I was like, who could say no to that?
Yeah,
And she
exactly.
was like, "You're out of your fucking mind." But if you bring it home, like none of this fucking business makes it. If you bring that shit home, you know, I suppose okay. And then I realized my mistake. I was like, 500,000. She's like, no, it's 1 million. God damn it! Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's definitely you know, one of my pet peeves is watching a tattooer like pontificate to a client. When you know how fucked up that tattooer is, right? Now, obviously, 18-year-olds getting job stoppers is not something I would ever condone, of course.
Right.
But I did write up a whole article. I was probably 21, 20-ish, you know, when Tintin tattooed my neck. And I didn't have, you know, very many visible tattoos, but you know, he was like an old biker guy, and he was like, well, show up in 2 months and fucking I'll tattoo you, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a beautiful tattoo. You know, it wasn't like a fucking shitty ass, you know, crappy, you know, whatever torture tattoo or anything. So you know, and he was a badass artist. He's obviously a sick tattooer. But I don't know. It's like one of those weird things where, you know, there are. I mean, and again, I'm not condoning that people, especially tattooers, help people make really, really permanent mistakes. Obviously, you know, there are other people that will help, you know, the tattooer, the clients make those mistakes for better or worse. But you know, I guess it's always for, you know, like I said, mostly I'm very thankful that Tintin, you know, took a peek at me and, you know, sussed it out and let me, you know, have a tattoo. This was probably, you know, 15, 20-ish years ago. But anyways, and then to wrap it up, my thoughts are, you know, whenever anybody would come in looking for a, you know, a job stopper, I'd always just ask, hey, are you smart? Are you really awesome? And if they were like, huh? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're only really awesome people get tattoos. You know, I wouldn't quite be like, I mean, also I didn't spend very much time in the front. I got put to the back quick. But the point being is, like, there's a lot of really cool, awesome, smart people that, you know, are better at making decisions for their bodies potentially than like a, you know, a 22-year-old tattooer who's just kind of reading the lines. And I don't know. I guess mostly it's a matter of finding that. Well, again, it's almost like, I suppose nearly every situation is subtly different or unique. And well, I don't know. Anyway, that's my thoughts
Yeah,
on it.
like when you're talking to the person, you get an idea if they're just like, oh well, I saw somebody else have it, so I want it, or somebody who's actually like on a path, you know, like that they actually have, they're like, yeah, I'm not even gonna go, like I'm not gonna go to, you know, Burger King. I'm not working at Burger King. I'm not flipping burgers, like that they have, you know, so you get an idea of who it'll be a mistake for and who it's not going to be. Yeah, you know, but I still try to go through that whole conversation with everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely worth making sure that, I mean, especially those tattoo decisions, but every tattoo decision is an educated one from the client. Hey, we do have another person that beamed in. Hip, they have they're muted and video off, but feel free to unclick those if you want and join the conversations.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
I think it's part of our job too, not only to do the tattoos, but to, you know, make sure that the person getting the tattoo knows what they're in for, especially with face tattoos, hand tattoos, all that fun stuff. Because I got my hand done as soon as I got my apprenticeship, and you know, then I thought to myself, oh, you'll still need a job to pay your bills. And luckily, all the jobs that I've applied for didn't care about my hand tattoo, but I've already had it removed one session, and it's still there. So for sure.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, we had one of the guys that I worked with had his neck tattooed, and this is back in like 98, and you know, we'd always have to drop him off at the train station to go home. And like people just were not respecting his space. Like they just like go up and just like start touching his neck. Like, yo,
Oh man.
You know, yeah, you know. So
You know,
he ended up
that's
getting it removed.
you know that effect. No one's touched my neck, but when I started getting other visible tattoos, my forearms and whatnot, I quote tattooing for helping me actually be less, feral. I could actually talk to people now because they would approach me about my tattoos. And again, I was always getting colorful bird tattoos and shit. They were always pretty slamming tattoos after the first 3 or 4 years. Anyways, point being is people would keep talking to me and I'm like, what the fuck? This stuff. I did not want people talking to me for any reason in particular. And but I came to realize, I'm like, man, if I have to be an asshole to the fucking 10 to 20 people a day because they're interested in my tattoos, then I'm really just going to be an asshole all day. So I really should figure out, like, have pleasant conversations with them, and then eventually it was like, when I had the shop, it was easy to have conversations because it would turn into business. But the point being is, I guess part of that effect, I didn't laser my tattoos, but I did, that effect made me way more pleasant to be communicate with.
Yeah, that's like the reason. Like I completely cover up when I go to the gym because it's like opening the door for somebody. Like it's a conversation starter. And
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like I just came here to work out. I'm not here to, talk to you about my tattoos. I'm not here to, I'm not trying to hook up. Like I just want to work out. And you'll see me like completely covered head to toe with my earbuds in, and I'm just doing my thing, ignoring everybody because it was just especially because women, like, especially for the men and stuff like that, it's definitely a conversation starter. And it's usually that they're not interested in your tattoos. They're interested in you. And it's like, I don't have time for this shit. Like I got stuff to do, and it's like, I don't know.
Definitely it would be interesting to run a panel of like, tried and true techniques to fucking ward off creepy tattoo fucking touchers.
That's always gonna happen. I feel like that's always gonna happen no matter what, because like I've told Jason and Ricardo this, like I've had full grown men like yank my arm and like touch me just to fucking quote unquote look at my tattoos, but like it's always gonna happen. And during the winter time it doesn't happen because I'm always wearing long sleeves, but as soon as it gets warm out and I show one tattoo, it's like 20 times a day, gross old men or like people are just like, nice tats, and I'm like, I guess, please go away. So I have to wear like compression sleeves at work just so like people don't talk about them or anything. And it's not that I don't want to show them off or not tell them who did it. It's just the attention of it is just what people have to think about as well. Especially if you get something really nice, people from across the world are going to be like, oh my God, let me just touch your fucking arm without any permission whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I had a guy try to like grope me while I was doing his tattoo.
What?
Right. And he was like, oh, well, I thought that's what you wanted me to do because you brushed up against my arm. And I'm like, I'm tattooing your chest, dude. I was like, so my chest needs to go where the fuck my chest needs to go to get your tattoo done. I was like, so I suggest you do not do that again, because if you do, you're paying me in full and we're stopping now.
It's almost like something you have to disclose in the initial consult even. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of massage therapists, speaking of like mobility and stuff like that, I went through a lot of deep tissue massages just to get like opened up, you know what I mean? And that was one of the things that they had in their disclosure, and the waiver that you signed was, there's no sexual contact here whatsoever. If that line is crossed, then you have to get up and leave, you know what I mean? And you will pay me in full, you know what I mean? So
that's actually a great idea. I don't know if we had that in our release form. I don't know if many release forms actually have that in there, but that's a fucking great idea.
I think that's the thing. That's one of the things that I always try to talk to people. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Kira.
Yeah, like it was like that was like 2 years like into like within my first 2 years of tattooing, and I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here right now? I was in Elizabeth, so I could just sit there and be like, be very blunt with the dude, it's like that's not happening, you know.
I would see that when I'm tattooing people's forearms and stuff, because my mentor told me that when like you have someone's arm like on the armrest and their hand is open and you go to like lean on their arm and your chest is like right about in their hands, I always thought, like, close your fist, please. And that will be like the way that I'll just be like, don't.
Yeah,
close your fist and be fine.
I need to go a little bit more to the side because it's like your hand, they're not even paying attention like most of the time because they're just like, oh my God, this hurts, you know, so they don't even realize that your chest is there, you know, so
That's a bummer that you guys, man, that's a bummer because you guys just want a tattoo. Like, I just want to make a good tattoo, dude, and like you got to make this all fucking weird. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and it was my very first experience with that, where I had a client. It was one of my first tattoos. I had a client. I was tattooing his arm, and he had his hand down, and he like full blown like just palmed my leg, and I immediately stopped everything, like made a huge scene just to embarrass him, and like kicked him out right then and there. Like, I don't give people second chances, and that's pretty awesome that you're professional like that, Caroline, to like give somebody another chance to fucking, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah, it's just like second, like if you screw up, you're out. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, because it isn't, like, I don't know why you would even need to disclose to people that sexual contact is not cool during your tattoo session. Like, to me, it would just be like,
a no-brainer.
Common knowledge, like you don't do that, but
absolutely,
that's people for you. So
people for sure. People go about peopling all over the place. Something
that's asshole people, or people that haven't learned different yet, right? So to someone's point, it's like we would have a ton of guest artists through, and like they're all growing up in different cultures and different subcultures inside of their cultures, inside of their regions. And it's a real tricky position to be in, where you're like trying to teach somebody how not to be an asshole, but not, while still kind of inviting them in to like figure out how we're doing things, right? And so that second chance kind of question, I don't know, it's less and less these days. Like there's the amount of warnings that people get have dramatically decreased. Which is good, I guess. But I guess mostly it's a matter of like, if all of a sudden I hate to use that word cancel, but like if all of a sudden you're like, boom, if you're out, then I guess, and again, I'm saying this as a dude who's always been safe, I take that back. I've been fucked up a little bit, but like, obviously 99% of the time I'm safe.
Right.
Like, but I've had these conversations with dudes where like, you can't say that, you can't do that. And then, for the most part, they'd suss themselves out. Maybe if I had to talk 10 times, 7 people didn't come back, 3 people did. And, but of some of those people that came back, they continued to, not in my shop, but elsewhere, and all of a sudden there was, it's like, again, I guess the education, there's an awesome book I posted up that there's a tattooer who kind of like outlines all of these issues. And how to communicate with people again, I guess I was just saying this, there's a whole set of scripts in that book that kind of give people some strategies on how to de-escalate, and without necessarily getting into a combative situation or whatnot. I don't know. It's horrible that it exists, and it's weird, or it's imperative that we try to figure out how to make some semblance of balance or equality with it. And again, that's, I guess, just to wrap this up, I really do like the idea of having in the release form, tattooing, often involves physical contact, and absolutely no manner is it acceptable to be considered anything other than, professional tattooing, on either side.
Yeah, and
for anybody involved.
It's not just men too. Like, I'm sure, like I know I've heard many stories of women doing the same thing, where they're like, well, if we like go somewhere, like, will that pay for my tattoo? It's like, well, it's not going to pay my bills. Sorry.
I can't pay my cable guy like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's just everybody in general. It's not just men. It's not just women. It's just gross people to begin with.
Yeah, they have their idea of commerce is slightly different.
Yeah. Which I don't know why it's in the tattooing field. I think it's just because it is a very physically contact job, but at the same time, I don't know, it's very alternative as well. So you get all walks of life.
Well,
Yeah.
to, kind of talk about what she's like, reflect what she's talking about, you're in an intimate space with another person. You're kind of subjecting yourself to like an amount of pain, and you're vulnerable, you know what I mean? So there's a whole kind of like moment there that you would usually share with somebody that you are involved with in a certain way, you know what I mean? Especially that physical vulnerability. So I think that can kind of blur things sometimes even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love getting those clients that use it as a therapy session where they kind of just open up to whatever they're feeling, and then we get to talk about it, and then they leave with a piece of artwork. And I'm like, that was really nice, because I always think that, when you get a really good client, they think of you as like one of their friend family. Like, it's weird how that works. Because you're just hired. It's like, you hired me to do this, but you're also taking this time to express your inner emotions, which I really don't mind when that happens, because clearly, I'm tattooing you and giving you pain, so you're gonna let me know how you're feeling, and we're gonna make this, a good experience for you. And I've always
go ahead. I agree to that to an extent.
Right.
I used to have a woman that would come by back when I was at an old studio. And she would come in and just get little bangers, tiny little jammers, nothing crazy. But she would show up religiously every Saturday at noon, right? No appointments or anything, because it was a walk-in street shop. So she would show up every Saturday at noon, and, I would tattoo her, and I'd sit her down and say, okay, what are we doing today? We'd pick something out, and, she'd get tattooed. And I asked her the one day, I said, well, you show up here every Saturday, like clockwork. I know that you're going to be here at noon. Is there a reason why? And during our session, she would open up about all of this stuff going on in her life, right? Like every marital problems, kids, you name it. And she's like, yeah, it's about half the cost of going to see a therapist, and I get a tattoo out of it.
Yeah, I had a tendency to as a sort of like as a buffer, because it's like they're dumping their emotional load on you, and then it's like, well, then what do I do with this? So I have a tendency to while I'm tattooing is like talking about either like stuff, like I don't watch sports, but that would be honestly like a good thing to direct people. You still have an engagement and stuff like that. You still have an exchange, but it's like they're not using you as an emotional dumping ground. And it's like, and I know that's definitely an aspect of, tattooing and stuff like that, because it really depends upon what you're doing, if you're doing memorials and stuff like that. So I have sort of a tendency to like talk about other stories and stuff like that. So I'm not taking on their stuff. And I started developing that because like in grade school and in high school and then through college and stuff like that, I was that person for all of my friends. And then it's like, but then what do I do with this? And I didn't have an area of where then I could expel it, and it didn't. And I was like, that doesn't seem fair to me. I was like, they get a relief, but then I get their burden. And I was like, and that's not fair, so like, I have a tendency to like talk to people, to an extent about like why they're there, why they're getting their tattoo and stuff like that. And like, to just balance it out, because like, you still have to, you have to move on with your day as well, and it's just like, so you're not left with their burden, Oop,
well, that's
I think that's my scoop.
Well, that's the difference between us and a trained therapist. You know what I mean? Is that they're taught, but the difference is like, I agree with you too. And, I've learned a lot about that more recently than ever. Is like, a lot of people's space doesn't necessarily have to be yours. And it is kind of tricky to be able to manage that. You know what I mean? But it's like anything else where our reality is based off of our perception. So if we just keep carrying that, it's gonna burden us for sure. So if we can kind of just realize that that's their time, that's their space, we can leave it right there, man. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy, a little bit easier to do that. But there are some very impacting stories sometimes that just like sit with you, and they definitely make you kind of take another look at what's going on in your life, for better or for worse sometimes. So it is like this double-edged sword where, bartenders, hairstylists, and tattoo artists, and sometimes massage therapists, they get it all. They get those parts of that person that sometimes the most intimate relationship they might have, they would never hear some of the things that are said.
Right.
So, and it's powerful. So like I talk a lot about the energy that comes along with like what we do, like the transference of energy and stuff. And I think it's really important for us. That's another one of the things that might go back to like this apprenticeship level thing where, we do have sit down and have talks about that. We do sit down and talk about these realities that come along with this job that is so irregular, and so to speak, I mean, you can't really sit somebody down in front of a TV and play this tchotchkes video and learn everything that they're supposed to do or not do, and what amount of flair they're supposed to wear and such.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
You mean that doesn't happen?
right, exactly. I see 13 pieces of flair. Is that the bare minimum you want to put in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I completely agree with that.
yeah. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a real hard place to be because, like, man, I think about what it was that made me get into tattooing, and I didn't realize that I wanted to do tattoos. I just knew that I wanted to do something in art, and I had already had enough of. I worked at a railroad car place where I like was putting on the scaffolding on the top of the railroad cars, like tack welding them and stuff, man. In this super hot box during the summers, like 110 degrees inside this thing, and it sucked.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ricardo. I thought this was going to be your I used to be a male stripper story.
And then, but that's in a whole nother time and place. That's an in-person kind of thing there, but what I was getting at is that I never realized that I wanted to do tattoos. I just knew I wanted to do something with art, and I was tired of all these other jobs. And there's this thing I think about a lot where how we got to the place we are now, and if it was truly like a decision that we made at some point in time to follow forward with it, or if it's something that was kind of, I don't know, this like inherent thing that we're part of something bigger, and we end up being in these people's lives sometimes, and it is a time and place, and sometimes you just have to say the right thing to them to kind of get them out of this funk, or they just need to be heard. It's like when you hold a door for somebody and you say hello to them, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it takes. It's okay, but you got to definitely have your space for yourself too, and that's the tricky part, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I always feel that the in-person apprenticeship is not only, it's super necessary. Because in my apprenticeship alone, I've seen a whole bunch of walks of life, from like people that we've had to deny because their ideas were so out there, to like the pukers, the pastor outers, to the, awesome clients, to the not so awesome clients. And that alone experience is super important, because then that helps you for when a client comes in, you are understanding of what you have to do, and reading their energy and your energy, and how both of you work together. Because if the client and the artist don't work together, then it's probably not going to be a good time.
Oh yeah, spot on, girl. That's it. Yeah.
Like I had studied psychology in college.
Okay.
I actually started in high school, and then I did it as my minor in college, because they told me 8 years of schooling might get me somewhere. And I was like, I only want to give college 4 years of my life. So, and then start tattooing, and then you realize like how much psychology is actually involved, like, whoa, okay. So then I'm an unpaid therapist, and definitely like saving your reservoir, like your energy and stuff like that. Like, because if you deplete that, then what good are you to anybody, so it's definitely. So like me and one of my friends, like early on in my career, like we used to go clubbing all the time, and we would go to fetish and goth clubs. So we always I always had stories to tell people, and they were just enthralled because it was like something that they would never do. you know,
Right.
and, you know, so I always had stories and stuff like that. And so I always had things to, you know, talk to people about. And then, like, these days, you know, I'm talking to them about like self-care and,
Yes.
you know, all that, like that kind of stuff. Finances too, you know, like be like, oh my God,
absolutely.
you know, like, yeah, like stuff that they don't ever bring up in grade school or high school, like the actual fundamentals of like life, you know, like making sure you're paying your bills up by the due date and, you know, and just, you know, like that kind of stuff, because like, you know, because like that is stuff that should be talked about. And I honestly think like, you know, then it just sort of organically like comes about, like when I, you know, talking to them about it and stuff like that, they'll say something to me and then it's like, you know, and you start, yeah, I'm like, I don't know why they didn't teach you how to make like a balanced meal in home ec, you know, like.
I think about that a lot with school, like just the school, you know, like public schools and stuff like that. There's so many people that could thrive, and our society as a culture can be so much stronger and richer if that was the case, if we were allowed to kind of teach some of these things. I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Go ahead.
They're like the predatory companies and stuff like that. They wouldn't be able to rip people off if
Yep.
people were informed.
Yeah.
So,
And not just informed, but a little bit more like self-actualized, you know, realizing that you can perform these functions for yourself. You don't need somebody else to do them for you all the time. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to, because we have like 3 people that joined in, so I just wanted to give them a second. We have Hip, we have Melissa, we got Amy. They've been chilling, so I just wanted to give them a little spot. Hello, everybody.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys.
How's it going?
I couldn't figure
do you
out how to
guys-
get on here for a second.
Yeah, what are you guys working on? Let's go around the world here. Start with Amy. Amy, what you working on?
Hi, I'll hover this above. I have a tattoo that I'm getting ready for. Hopefully y'all can see. But it's a Japanese sleeve. I've kind of flushed it out already. And I'm just getting prepared for it, honestly. So that's that. Yeah.
Where's it going?
It's an arm, outside of an arm. Oop, I lost it. So there you go.
And you're
so
doing full color?
Yeah. He wanted something that was a little bit more poppy. He said that he has a lot of yang and he wanted a little bit more yin with his colors. so me. So that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. When's it due? When they coming in?
I've been sick, like Jake. I couldn't make last week, so I've been sick. So I'm going to be touching base with him today and seeing if it was supposed to happen today, but I don't know if he'll feel comfortable with that. I've almost completed my 14 days quarantine just to be precautionary. So I'll see how he feels about it. I mean, I'm pretty symptomless at this point, but I have 2 more days on my docket, so I'm kind of leaving it up to his comfortability, to be honest. I'm gonna take all necessary precautions, wear masks, all that great shit. But yeah, it's I've been symptomless for about a week now.
Awesome. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's see. Melissa, what you working on?
Hey guys, I'm working on adding to a piece, just a phoenix and some flowers, and I'm trying to get the sizing right. It's an inner forearm. He wanted 3 flowers. We're going with 2. We're going to move the other flower to the wonderful little elbow cap. But I'm trying to make it to where, like, I've got my flowers down in here once I put them in. I'm trying to basically balance the whole size issue. I mean, he's got a decent sized forearm, but the existing pieces that he has makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah, that's awesome. I see you have that tape measure there. Do you want to talk about how you go about that process there?
Oh, so when I'm sizing for an area, if there's existing, like even if there's not existing work, I just grab a fabric tape and like I'll get measurements around, I'll get length. And the reason I do the measurements around is just to kind of see how wide I can make things. With this piece, he's got an existing piece on the back side of his forearm, so we're gonna have to drop some of this design behind it. Because initially this is to finish filling out that bottom section. But it's just, it helps me when I'm working digitally a lot more, especially when I'm working around existing stuff. It's kind of like reminding me of the size. You know, when I go to print out my line work and stuff, obviously I'll fit it into the space, but when I'm drawing it, it reminds me not to like over detail something. So I just grab my fabric tape and I like when I'm taking the photos of the area and stuff, I'll put it up there so that way I have a good idea as far as how much space there is.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you are interested, Jason has a great walkthrough video of how he does his like sleeves or bigger pieces on arms, especially with pre-existing tattoos. He has it.
Yeah, it's posted up in the subscribers area. I know Kira's been having some audio issues lately, so just wanted to jump in and kind of finish off that thought.
I appreciate it. Yep.
Don't make it's windy here, okay? Give me a minute.
Catch up.
I was saying that Jason has a good walkthrough video on how he does his larger pieces and sleeves on digital. I was asking Jason, where can people find that?
If you go to the Reinventing the Tattoo app and you take a look in the subscribers area, I've posted it up there. There's a direct link. I have it posted up in Vimeo. I was trying to embed it so it could play kind of like some of the other videos do, but that didn't work so well. So you actually do have to click on the link. But yeah, if you guys are interested, you know, it's right there in the community in the subscribers area.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Yeah, it's very thorough. It's super awesome, and it works.
It works so well.
Yeah, you can print it off to the exact same size of the space that you need. It's incredible.
Now, is this for Apple users or Android users? Because that's a big difference.
Yeah, there is a very big difference there. I mean, it's the same base process regardless of whether or not you're doing it freehand, if you're doing it on a tablet or, you know, obviously there's a little bit of a different methodology involved, but more or less it's the process I've been using since well before I got an iPad. You know, it takes a little bit longer to do it by hand, but I mean, the base principle is still there, you know, and I use the cloth measuring tape as well. And, you know, it's just a different way to go about looking at how am I going to plan this out? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I've been doing this way for quite a while. I went digital probably about 2 years ago, I think, somewhere in there. And so I used to have to do all this stuff by hand, including for cover up work, which is a little bit more difficult when you can't drop a photo up underneath of what you're working with, except for on a light table. But you know, this has been pretty standard for me as far as like figuring out size and stuff. Size isn't so much when it's just a blank area. But especially like when I'm working around other existing pieces, or even just adding into my own work, I like to have an idea as far as how much space I've got left.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, I gotta get going. My appointment's gonna be here pretty soon. This is a great conversation, as always, and good to see you, Amy. Good to see you, Melissa, Kirsten. Thank you.
Guys, did you want to say anything?
Man. I mean, yeah, my name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I work at Candor Tattoo in Normal, Illinois. You can find me on Instagram at Candor Tattoo. It was awesome. Today's conversation was super rad. Caroline, it's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Jason, my man. Kirsten,
Adios.
you guys are fucking rule. Hip. We didn't get to talk, man. Maybe we can talk another time, dude, when you're not so busy. I totally understand how you're going this morning, though, because I'm on the same wavelength right now. And Amy, it's nice to meet you. So you guys take it easy. Yep. Gabe, peace out, man.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be heading out not too far behind him. I got like another 20 minutes before I got to go.
Yeah, cool. We have to set up for Mike Chambers is doing an interview at noon. But yeah, we could 20 minutes seems perfect if people are still down.
I'm probably gonna head out too, guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna get ready here. Try to look a little bit better than I do right now. Make the outside match the inside.
Yeah.
Hey, we're excited to hear about that the event. I heard some rumors about a possible event for in the future. Getting together some apprentice types.
Yeah, Amy and I will have to touch base. I think we're having a meeting next week about it, and then we're gonna start planning some stuff out. It's gonna be fun.
I'm very excited, and this conversation was great. I'm sorry I couldn't. I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to join you guys earlier, but something was going on. It was probably on me. But I was super stoked with the conversation. It was nice to listen.
Well, we always try to have interesting conversations here, so.
Yeah, man. And Jason, I wanted to say I did watch your build out of your sleeve video. It's very similar to something that I have done for a very long time, and it was nice to be validated by somebody who was like, "Oh, crap, that's awesome!" Like a similar hack, but it was very good and very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, have a great day.
You do the same.
Thank you.
Definitely. Bye.
All right. This was a success.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go off on any tangents. I mean, I wasn't on my soapbox today. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard some of my previous drawing groups where I just get up there and I just start going and going and going.
Have you made this this checklist of things not to do while you're on Zoom?
I mean, I'm not saying I don't have a Post-it note on my screen telling me what not to do.
See, there's a reason I don't jump on right away. It's because I'm still waking up.
Well, and that's part of it. I'm not even down a full cup of coffee yet.
But we should say hi to Hip here. He's been like at Walmart or something buying shoes. What's going on, man?
Hey, yeah, Monday's my Saturday, so I'm getting ready to go on a hike, but I still enjoy the fellowship, so I try to get on any chance I can get.
Yeah, where are you from?
Man. Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
How's business out there for you?
Saturday.
Oh, dude, we're blessed. I'm usually booked out around 2 months all year. I work with a great team. Like, I was listening to some people talk about like how clients are and how they can like drain you. And the cool thing is that I've learned in this process is like, if you got a strong team with you to help build value and kind of take the burden off sometimes is vital a lot. Like we all can like feel each other's energy, and when someone is kind of draining that tank, like we step in and help build value and get things back as where they're supposed to be. So like it even starts out before the tattoo actually begins. It's almost like a rule for us to introduce our client to 3 people in the shop. 1, to celebrate before the celebration even starts, and then 2, to make the client feel safe and like they're with family, so it like drops all that insecurities they have. Because I don't know if you guys are like me or not, but like a lot of times I forget that I live in a tattoo shop. So like it's awkward when I meet someone for the first time, so I already feel weird about it. But a lot of times if I apply empathy and like put myself in their shoes and realize that like they're probably way more scared about this than I am, it kind of helps with my perspective of things sometimes. But yeah, dude, having a good team that has your backs like uber important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is definitely important.
It makes the process a lot easier too.
Oh yeah, so much easier. Hey, I got a little secret I can share. How many of us is on here? 4?
5?
Yeah, but we're broadcasting out to the world, man.
Oh, I got a cool.
You have
I
the
got a cool
entire
little secret.
interweb listening right now.
So, me, Joshua Carlson, and my mentor Matt Klimmer, we've started a podcast. Nothing's released yet, but we're batching episodes, and it's basically going to be addressing like a bunch of stuff. So like we're kind of like modeling it after like Joe Rogan, because you know he's a comedian and a fighter, but like he's got so much more to offer. And you know we're all tattooists, we're fathers, we are students and teachers. We're trying to like just live the best we can. All of us have a budget, and we got to learn how to like deal with this thing people are scared to talk about called money. So like we're addressing a bunch of fun stuff. And it's been cool, like the whole process. And I just figured I'd throw that out there because like it's gonna be fucking a blast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where are you gonna be broadcasting it, and what's it called?
So it's called the Tattoo Guardians, and it's going to be on all platforms. And me and Matt are, you know, we're in Dayton, and then Joshua's out in Eugene, Oregon. So we just meet up once a week and knock out an episode. And dude, I thought that podcasting is like, oh, you sit down in front of a mic and like open your mouth and like, bam, magic happens. And it's so much more than that. Like, there's just like so much that goes into it, and we've got it's been a process. And so like the background on our YouTube videos, you can see like our humble beginnings of like why we're building the studio. There's like studs behind us and shit. So it's starting to come to fruition now, and a release date is definitely on the horizon. But man, yeah, dude, like, you know, everyone on here this morning's drawing, which is fucking awesome. And I'm just like so thankful I get to go find a mountain to climb, or a hill. We don't really have mountains in Ohio.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
man,
awesome.
definitely gonna
That's
have to
awesome.
take a look at that. Listen in. Definitely sounds like you're covering some awesome topics. So
Yeah, keep us all updated with when it actually goes up and everything like that. And feel free to post it on the Reinventing, and you know, we'll all take a listen. We're all here to support each other.
I appreciate that, guys. Dude, this app, there's so fucking much. Like I joined about a month ago, and I can get on this app and like fall in a hole, and then a whole day will pass.
yeah. Yep. Dude, I've fallen down that hole before in the Reinventing app, man. It's like, it's endless, dude. It is absolutely endless.
And everything keeps coming out, like every day there's new stuff, new things to listen to, new, like everything. And that's why I love it. And at the same time, you meet so many great people. Like I've met probably my closest friends now that we Zoom like every other day, and it's changed my life completely. So this is just the beginning for this whole app and website and everything. And I'm glad to be a part of it internally and outernally.
And man, what a great time for it to come out too, after 2020, when everybody was just like completely disconnected, and this app shows up and it like reunites the tattoo community. Yeah,
absolutely. I keep hearing that over and over again from everybody, that they feel that during the quarantine and everything being locked down, that they felt like in a rut drawing, or like they felt like they were just not in love with tattooing as much as they were. And then all of a sudden as soon as Reinventing comes out, or they had the tattoo gathering, everybody starts, coming together as a community again. And you remember why you started tattooing to begin with and why you love art so much. And it's, the community as well as seeing other great artists.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to have. Like I've already gone through like I don't know how many cycles of burnout, and then so the quarantine for me was actually a pause, where it was like a good pause, where it was like, okay, now we can step back, look at everything, evaluate what is it that we need to adjust so that we can continue pushing forward. Because I knew like once the quarantine was over, like it was going to be chaotic, like everybody wants to get tattooed because everybody's been sitting home for 3 months. And, so then I had just put in like, little things here and there so that like it would be sustainable. Like I have not taken a break since we were allowed to reopen last June. Like I haven't gone on vacation. I've been there, I have the shop open 5 days a week, and it's just like, just needed to do, like I was like, I need to keep that ball rolling. And then like I was using, I was finding YouTube like as my companion during the shutdown, and then like, that's when all of a sudden I started to see you guys and I was like, oh yeah, like definitely.
Here we go.
Yeah. So
where's your shop at?
Awesome. My shop is in New Jersey. So
nice.
Yeah, New Jersey. Oh God, New Jersey's crazy. It was difficult. I really like the idea of you guys doing that finance, like talking about finances and stuff like that, because I was talking about that earlier, like that there's so many people out there who are uneducated about finances, and they wouldn't be able to be abused by like these large corporations and stuff like that. Like I had issues with my IRAs that I'm trying to smooth out now, that it's just like insane. If I had the knowledge base that I have now back then, I wouldn't be in this situation, and it's just, why don't we talk about these things, like, so.
Right. And, it's always important to like identify one's, personal relationship with money, because like I've just been going through like this growing spurt of like identifying that like I had a negative relationship with money, or like there was fear and lack in there, and I have had to work through it, and I still do work through it, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. But it always seems like it's a sticky subject, and it's just like I'm in long-term recovery, so killing the stigma of like being the dope fiend has been a journey, this whole process. And now like I almost say the name addict or dope fiend as words of love, because I appreciate the struggle. And the same applies with like money and finances. Like it's killing the stigma or making people comfortable, at least when they're around me, to be able to talk about stuff like that, because it's important. Like money's energy that we use to like create freedom in our lives and create freedom for other people. And it's just one of those things. It's like, ooh, you can't really talk about that. And I don't think that's fair, because a lot of stress comes from finances.
Completely,
and pain shared is pain lessened.
Yeah. Like I honestly, like that I had gone through federal audits, and and I was trying to reach out to people to, in the community, to ask them like, have you dealt with this? Like, I don't know what the heck is happening here. I don't know what's going on. And nobody could, share with me. And because they're like, oh, all we know is what's happening to you is really, really bad. We've never got that far in an audit, so we don't have any information with which to give you. So then I had to figure it out on my own, and so I pulled together a seminar on how to do your handwritten tax records. I presented it at the Mohegan Sun right before in March last year, before the shutdown. And and it was because I wanted to make a good thing come out of my 3.5 years of nightmare. I wanted something positive to come from it. And as I was talking to more and more people, not just clients, but artists, that realized that nobody knows how to do this, or do it the right way. And so then it was like, so I was like, okay, like share the knowledge, like what is a better, like, screw you, than empowering other people around you so that they can't get stepped on and manipulated as well.
Dude, that would be a fucking seminar I would definitely take, because that's so important. It's like, since I'm still kind of a young pup in tattooing, but I know that, like, the more, how they're getting in with, like, the pigments and shit, and these corporations are realizing that, like, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so, like, they want to get their hands on it. It's starting to shine a magnifying glass to artists now. So, like, the old putting money away in a shoebox underneath the bed is, like, cool to a certain extent, but we gotta, like, watch our P's and Q's, because it's just it's just gonna tighten up tighter and tighter.
Yeah, like, I honestly didn't realize that people didn't know how to do this. Like, I had taught myself, because I did sit through some, like, seminars and stuff like that was through the Small Business Administration, their development centers. They have them at different universities and stuff like that, and colleges. And so, but they didn't, give you the full picture. Like, they just gave you a little bit, and and it's just like, and the IRS, like, they do target small business owners because they figured they don't know how to do this. They're not going to spend the time to do it. And then they don't have the financial backing to then go to court.
Hey, and they didn't realize that we got motherfuckers like you that's willing to, like, go through the struggle for us and then help teach us.
Yeah, they picked on the wrong person. Like, because, and and to me, like I said, I had no idea that nobody knew how to do this. And I sit with my CPA who's been, doing that for 40 years. And he's like, seriously, he's like, there's, out of all of his client base, he's like, there's only a handful of people that sort of fill these things out. He's like, you're the only one that does it right. I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yes, and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, but they totally picked on the wrong person. And then I'm hearing now that, again, because we went through an economic thing, that they're coming at, like, small business owners again. They're ramping up their audits by 50%. And I'm like, that's screwed up. It's completely screwed up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about 5 before 11. Does everybody want to start doing sign-offs?
Sure.
Jason, you can start.
No, of course I have to start. Of course. Yeah, pick on me. That's fine. I get it. Let me just throw this up real quick. So, hey everyone, Jason Leeser here. I lead the Sunday afternoon drawing groups here at Reinventing the Tattoo. If you don't know about the Reinventing the Tattoo community or the app, check it out. It's absolutely awesome. Everyone here is on it. Everyone here is learning and growing. If anyone ever has any topics they want covered or talked about, Hip, I'd love to have you on maybe one of the Sunday afternoons and just maybe give us a quick overview of some of the podcasting that you're doing, and maybe spotlight that a little bit. I think that would be an awesome kind of highlight for it. But yeah, if anyone ever has any topics they want discussed or has any questions or anything of that nature, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Philly Ink on Instagram. Or you can reach out to me on the app. I'm pretty sure my name's just Jason on there. It's nothing special. I'm just a regular tattooer trying to grow and get better at everything just like everyone else. So thank you very much. And have a great weekend, guys.
You too.
Perfect. We'll go to Melissa. She's on mute. There you go.
As usual. That's hopefully getting remedied here soon. I'm in the process of getting more of an art space to myself, which is amazing. So I'm Melissa. I'm located out in Staten, Oregon. You can find me on Instagram, Mac_Missa, MISSA. Mac is MAC. Yeah. Hi everyone. It's still super early here, so forgive my mumbling.
No, you're fine. I always see Melissa out on the Reinventing. She does great work. She's also on the Monday night drawing group, so definitely everybody should check that out if they haven't. But thanks, Melissa, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And then Caroline.
Hey, I'm Caroline Evans. I own Radiant Energy Tattoo in Brick, New Jersey. The Instagram for that is just Radiant Energy Tattoo, I think. Then my Instagram is Caroline Ann Evans. Then we also have the websites. For the shop, it's myradiantenergy.net. And then for myself, it's tattoosbycaroline.com.
Beautiful. And Mr. Hip.
Hey everybody, Hip. I work at Aisle 9 Tattoos in Centerville, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton. If you got the eyes to see and the heart to hear, even miracles can happen anywhere, even at Aisle 9 at the grocery store. My Instagram is at hip_81. And yeah, that's me.
Beautiful. All right, I guess I'm last. Hello, I'm Kirsten Franklin. I'm tattooing in West Springfield, Massachusetts, Western Mass. You can find me on Instagram at Frankie Says Things. You can also find me on Reinventing the Tattoo. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing as well. Great having everybody here. The Monday drawing groups and then the Sunday afternoon drawing groups are always awesome. I always love enjoying them. This is actually Jake Meeks' drawing group. He had to zip out for his vaccination. Congrats to him. But it was wonderful talking with everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Awesome. And, thank you, Kirsten, for taking over the hosting duties. Oh, even though sometimes your bandwidth is struggling with you. Anyways, thanks again, everybody. We will be taking an hour-long break, and then we'll be back at noon with an interview with Mike Chambers on Let's Talk Tattoos live with Mark Lescarbo from Needle Jig Tattoo Supply. And then, yeah, we'll